So, should Stefanos Tzimas start against Man City on Sunday in Brighton's second home game of the 2025-2026 season? That is what we will get into today. Hello and welcome back to Seagulls Central. My name is Adam MacDonald and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I always say, if this is your first video, thank you very much for clicking on this video. And if you've been here before, welcome back to the community. One of the fastest growing Brighton fan communities out there on social media, and we are loving it. We are growing quickly. We're enjoying it. We're getting videos out daily, and it seems like you are loving it too. So thank you very much for jumping on to this channel. As always, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. If you find yourself coming back to this channel, hit the notifications button. It really means a lot to me and helps me grow this channel. Right, let's get into it. So, Stefanos Tzimas obviously had a brilliant Brighton debut on Wednesday night as we went to the AMEX Stadium in Oxford against Oxford United. Came on with 25 minutes to go. It was about 25 minutes to go. Scored 2 goals. Looks really good. Admittedly, as we'll say, he had loads of space. It was quite poor defending for a lot of it. They were losing the ball kind of high up the pitch with sloppy passes, and we were making the most of it. However, when the moment came, when opportunities were presented to him, when he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper, he finished brilliantly, calm, cool, collected, assured. And the point that I made in the previous video after the Oxford game was, presumably that's something that is transferable. Okay, he might not get that space, that time, that chance, say against Man City, but if he finds himself in that position where he's one-on-one against the goalkeeper, whether you're against Man City, whether you're against Oxford United, whether you're against, flipping Whitehawk, surely if you've got that ability to finish against a goalkeeper, you've got the ability to finish against a goalkeeper, and that is transferable. So I'm hoping that we're going to see a player who can step up to the mark. Now, let's just make no bones about it. He's obviously not ready to come in from the start. I think we've seen clearly from a fitness level, due to the fact he's played basically no minutes this pre-season and only played 30 minutes so far for the men's team in a cup game. But also I think, that's one point. That's the main point. He's not physically fit. But I think another point is that kind of adaptation, that chucking into the deep end of Premier League football. I remember we spoke about it loads as fans when we got promoted to the Premier League, and the comparison between Championship football and Premier League football. You remember watching it in person, and the change in intensity it hit you like a ton of bricks just watching it as a viewer. Being there in the flesh, watching it, seeing the pace of the game, and one chance that you make a mistake, it generally gets punished. And I think the Premier League, throwing a young player at 18, 19 years old into that environment, expecting them to produce it immediately, I don't think we're going to see a physical ability to cope with it. Very rarely players come in and just immediately are able to play Premier League football from a physical level. It's intense. You've got to run a lot, particularly in this Hürzeler system. You've got to be physical against tricky defenders who know all of the dark arts of Premier League football. And I think bringing these players in, it takes them a while to get used to it. You saw it with Brian Gruder really last season. We've only really seen the best of him towards the end of last season, and obviously into the start of this season, particularly against Oxford, where we've seen the best of him. It's taken him a while. You'd imagine for these young players coming from Greece as well, it's going to take a while for them. So is he ready to start? No, he's not ready to start. However, with that said, I think there is a conversation that needs to be had around, do we bring him on? Is he going to be in the matchday squad? I would be shocked if he's not in the matchday squad. Maybe someone like Charalampos Kostylas might not be in the matchday squad. I would maybe understand that. It seems like from all the reports, from what Fabian Hürzeler said to the press, is that actually Kostylas is a little bit behind in terms of his journey to getting into the first team. Maybe Stefanos Tzimas is a surefire option for the bench. Kostylas, maybe he is as well. Tommy Watson, maybe he is as well, coming back from his injury. But I think maybe what it looks like is that we're probably going to see Danny Welbeck starting again up front on Sunday against Man City. I think Jorginho Rutter, it looks like he's touch and go. Fabian Hürzeler said he might be around for the Oxford game. He ended up kind of not taking that risk with him, and he's kind of said he has to assess him a little bit more. It looks like ahead of this Sunday game, the word has been he'll be involved, he'll be on the bench. Maybe he'll start, maybe he'll not. If I had to guess, I think what we'll do is we'll play Welbeck up front and we'll play Matt O'Reilly in behind. I think that's what Fabian Hürzeler will do. I would like something a little bit different there. I'd like to see Welbeck and Rutter, as I've always said. However, it looks like Rutter might not be fully available to start. He might be, This might all be a waste of a conversation. However, I think what it means is that actually if we've got someone like Welbeck up front, if we've got Matt O'Reilly up front playing together, in the second half, towards the end of the game, that's when we can make a change for someone like a Tzimas to come on, for a Rutter to come on, and crucially, for a Gruder to come on. If I had my way, to be honest, knowing what we know about Jorginho Rutter, what would I do? I'd play Welbeck up front, and I'd play Gruder in behind. I don't think Matt O'Reilly is warranting a start. And this isn't because I think he's a terrible player. I think the options that we have ahead of him in the position of the number 10, quite frankly, are better. I think Rutter should be playing there. I think Gruder absolutely should be playing there. And particularly after that performance in midweek, I think he will feel really hard done by if he's not given a significant opportunity to impress in the Premier League starting this Sunday. The reports coming out over the last 24 hours or so, since I made my last video yesterday, was around how Stuttgart reportedly are interested in taking Gruder on a season-long loan. Now, you can imagine what's going to happen there. The last time we loaned out a player to Stuttgart, Dennis Undav, he went out there, did brilliantly, realised he wasn't going to get the minutes here, couldn't be promised them and wanted to stay. Okay, he's maybe not turned out into the prolific striker that maybe everyone in Europe thought he would be at that moment after having such a brilliant season, but who knows what would happen. I don't think we want to take that risk with Gruder, loaning him out to a Stuttgart, when he's clearly knocking on the door of getting into this side. I wouldn't want to loan him out to Stuttgart at the expense, just because we've kind of promised Matt O'Reilly in the off-season that we're going to play him as a number 10. I don't like that. I don't think he has shown Matt O'Reilly enough to warrant moving on players, admittedly only on loan, just because we want to be true to the promise we've made him. Maybe he'd be better, Matt O'Reilly, as a number 8, and I think he's spoken about wanting to play as a number 8, but I think certainly at number 10, I think we've all seen it as fans, and I'd like to think Hürzeler's seen it as well, particularly in these midweek games, that we've got some real competition in that number 10 position now. We've got Jorginho Rutter, we've got Brian Gruder. So I'd like to see Brian Gruder start. I don't think that's going to happen. I think all of us fans are maybe expecting that to happen in the next, on Sunday. I think that would be the lineup that all of us would make if we were choosing our 11. I don't think it's going to happen. If I had to choose, I'd say probably Matt O'Reilly will start again. Across the rest of the team, I think it's going to be quite similar. I think we'll probably, annoyingly, see Weaver at right back again. I don't hate it, but if I had my preference, I probably would bring Joel Veltman in. I think he looked absolutely brilliant against Oxford, and we've seen for a while the ability that he brings for our side. An absolutely fantastic player. One of, he is our best right back. He's our best right back, one of our best defenders, one of our most consistent defenders, and I think he should be playing at right back. I think it gives the opportunity to play someone like Weaver in midfield. I think Ayari and Baleba will be the midfield two that start against Man City. Centre half, I imagine it'll be Duncan van Hecke. What I'd quite like to see is Buscagli play. Maybe some minutes, maybe we change things up. Maybe if we've got to change the game in the second half and we've got to shore up or we've got to replace someone due to injury, I'd like to think he is the first reserve. I think against Oxford, he looked a cut above. He looked intelligent. He looked smart. He looked like he knew how to play elite football. He's obviously a leader. You could hear him talking throughout the game. It's about whether you drop Lewis Dunk, and I don't think that's going to happen just yet. I think maybe my prediction was after the kind of second international break, maybe that'll be when we kind of begin to see Dunk kind of drift out of the team a little bit as the pressure really builds up from good performances from Coppola and Buscagli. I think elsewhere on this pitch, I wouldn't be surprised if Hürzeler names an unchanged side from the game against Everton. I almost think that's what he's going to do based on the changes we saw him make in midweek, based on how many other players got games in midweek. I can't imagine he's then going to chuck like O'Reilly, Tzimas, Veltman all in after just one game in the Cup. If it were me, I would bring in Veltman. I would bring in Gruder. If Rutter's fit, I'd probably bring him in as well. So let's see. I think it's going to be a difficult game. Obviously, we know this. In recent seasons, I think we can take, promise from the fact that we've had good performances against Man City, particularly away last season, obviously home last season with Matt O'Reilly's goal. I wonder whether that will play into the mindset of Fabian Hürzeler in terms of picking him. But yeah, that would be my pick. I think I want to see Veltman come in. I want to see Gruder come in. I think if we have 30 minutes to go again, I think we've got to bring on Tzimas. We've got to start giving him Premier League minutes, and what better way to acclimatise than against the former champions, Manchester City, one of the best sides in the league. I think he's going to show quite quickly, to be honest, that he is ready. You saw the pace that he has, you saw the physicality he has, you saw the clinical way that he has and the way he strikes a ball. And I think, hopefully in the coming weeks we're going to see the best of him. But yeah, let me know what you think. Who would you start against Man City on Sunday? Would you give Tzimas an opportunity? Would you start him? Would he be your first reserve in terms of striker? Would you make any changes at the back? Would someone like Veltman come in for Weaver? Would you put Weaver into midfield? Would you bring Buscaglia in, Coppola in over a Dunk or a Van Hecke? What would you do? A minteh and Mitoma surefire starters? Do they have to start? Will they start? What would you do in the number 10? Does Gruder come in? Does Matt O'Reilly go out? Let me know what you think. I'd love to know your thoughts. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, smash that subscribe button, and turn your notifications on. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you for my Man City review in a couple of days' time. And as always, up the Albion.